I just find it hard to take seriously the idea that you would actually cut off the power to a home if you found that an illegal was living in it. I find that hard to believe, and I can't quite believe that in America we would allow that to happen.
Power companies today cut off people's powers for non-payment. So that is an economic issue.
That's
it's
very
not
different.
Issue of
non-payment is very different from your immigration status.
But again, we're not targeting somebody because of their skin color. It's their status in America.
Once again, world majority brothers and sisters, you're now chilling with the icebreaker. Guess what? We made the UN, y'all. But unfortunately, as soon as Arizona gets on the map for once, Jan Brewer's got to go ahead and stop the party. You see, the United Nations has a Human Rights Council, and that Human Rights Council has a universal periodic review process where each member of the UN gets its human rights record reviewed by the others to make sure everyone's living up to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Sounds hunky-dory, right? Wrong. Miss JB called the mere mention of SB 1070 in the document submitted by the U.S., quote, internationalism run amok, unquote. The icebreaker indeed wonders if Jan Brewer could get those 3 words out while on camera. Hey, isn't that a good idea? Why doesn't Jan Brewer debate with the United Nations regarding human rights in Arizona?
This happens.
Governor, please answer the question.
About the headless bodies. Why won't you recant that? You still believe that? Come on, Governor.
Okay, thank you all.
Governor, what do you make?
Well, I'm astonished, Frank.
Damn, well, I guess that's how that goes. An article from Time magazine shows that the majority of financial support for Jan Brewer and Sheriff Joe Arpaio is coming from outside of Arizona. This makes some real sense, though, because Michigan, Alabama, Florida, Idaho, Louisiana, Nebraska, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, and Virginia have all teamed up to sign a legal briefing in support of SB 1070. Now, this is not to say that an overwhelming number of Arizonans don't support the efforts to criminalize the undocumented population, but perhaps the budget that Jan Brewer falsely identified as being balanced has actually crippled the ability of the hometown hater to get donations from her local constituency. People from Arizona have only given her $320,600, while her national contributors have taken up the rest of the $1,700,000 slack. The story is much the same with Joe Arpaio, because only 26% of his $2.3 million pig bank comes from Arizona. It would be eye-opening to see how much of that 26% actually even comes from his own jurisdiction of Maricopa County. Remember July 29th? Yeah, you know, folks out in the street, cuffing themselves to jail entrance doors, hanging signs from construction sites, purposefully getting arrested to prove political points and whatnot. Well, the powers that be called that the work of outsiders, extremists even. But just how much does that stack up to an added $3 million of outside financial support raised for Brewer and Arpaio alone? Isn't that what you would call outside meddling? Yeah, smells of interventionism to me. Hey, but I'm just saying. I guess the rule is that when the powerful enlist outside funders to bankroll hate and racism, it's all good. And when the powerless recruit outside folks to stand in solidarity against hate and racism, it cannot be tolerated. Last week, the U.S. Department of Justice sued Sheriff Joe Arpaio, otherwise known as America's toughest squeaker by icebreaker fans and haters alike, for receiving money from the federal government and not providing the federal government access to information regarding how he was using that money. The $3.2 million question is if it was being used to engage in ethnic and racial profiling and discrimination. Why the U.S. DOJ is simply inquiring about discrimination after several workplace raids is beyond me. Shoot, why Sheriff Joe isn't dressed in pink drawers and picking up trash on Arizona expressways right now is also beyond me. But maybe I just have post-traumatic sheriff disorder. Now, is it me, or is explicit white power rhetoric, symbolism, and association coming back in fashion these days? You know how they say 40's the new 30? Well, the 21st century is the new 19th century, apparently, because the United Daughters of the Confederacy, meaning the South's army in the Civil War, are actively organizing and actively recruiting to bolster their ranks, according to an Arizona Republic article by Coti Dolores Miranda. Lori Stedman is a charter member of the UDC and has also been an English and history teacher for 23 years, always letting her students know that they, quote, can't judge the past by today's morals and values, unquote. But I wonder where teacher Stedman fits into State School Superintendent Tom Horn's ethnic studies ban. Might sound far-fetched, but it sounds just like another case of when the powerful want to teach ethnic studies concerning white folks, it's all good. But when you and I want to teach ethnic studies concerning the entire spectrum of colors, including what white folks have done to us, i.e. the Civil War, it cannot be tolerated. And just imagine, do you think we'd be allowed to celebrate what Stedman describes as being, quote, proud that my ancestors fought for what they believed in, unquote? Probably not, since our ancestors believed in freedom from Lori Stedman's ancestors, who believed in enslaving, raping, murdering, robbing, and colonizing our ancestors until the present day. So I say peace to you, world majority brothers and sisters. This is the Icebreaker signing off. The struggle is won.